Gigi Dall'Igna slams Bagnaia's disappointing Austria 2025 performance. The 2025 Austrian Grand Prix at the Red Bull Ring was supposed to be a turning point for Francesco "Pecco" Bagnaia. Coming into Spielberg, the three-time world champion had every reason to believe he could bounce back from inconsistent results earlier in the season. The Red Bull Ring had been one of his strongest circuits in the past, and free practice sessions showed encouraging signs. Yet, instead of leaving Austria with renewed confidence, Bagnaia departed under a dark cloud of criticism, not from the media, not from fans, but from the very top of Ducati's racing program, General Manager Gigi Dall'Igna. The weekend began with optimism. Ducati fans watched closely as Bagnaia looked composed during Friday's practice runs. His pace, while not extraordinary, was steady enough to suggest that he could be in the mix for podium contention. He seemed to have adapted better to the GP25 package after weeks of struggles. Engineers around him felt reassured that, with a few small adjustments, Bagnaia might finally show flashes of the form that made him world champion in 2022, 2023, and 2024. But Motogp is unforgiving, and any sense of optimism can vanish in the blink of an eye. That optimism began to fade dramatically on Saturday during the sprint race. As the red lights went out, Bagnaia suffered a disastrous start. His rear tire spun violently, robbing him of traction and sending him backwards through the pack. It was the kind of mistake that leaves a rider rattled, and Bagnaia never recovered. Instead of fighting his way back up, he continued to lose pace. Suspicions quickly arose that the rear tire had an underlying issue, perhaps a pressure or temperature problem, and within a handful of laps, Bagnaia was forced to pull into the pits. His sprint ended not with points or pride, but with a DNF. For a rider of Bagnaia's stature, failing to even finish a sprint was a bitter pill to swallow. It wasn't just about the lost points, it was about the psychological blow. Adding salt to the wound, Marquez, his new teammate and fiercest rival within the Ducati garage, went on to dominate the sprint. For Bagnaia, who had long been Ducati's golden boy, the sight of Marquez celebrating a sprint victory in red colors cut deep. The contrast between the two riders could not have been sharper. One triumphant, the other in despair. The main race on Sunday was supposed to be redemption. Starting from third on the grid, Bagnaia had a chance to reset the narrative. He knew a strong performance could silence doubts and remind everyone why he had been Ducati's chosen leader for so many years. But as the lights went out, redemption quickly slipped through his fingers. Bagnaia was slow off the line once again, losing position to Marco Bezzecchi almost immediately. The problems compounded quickly. Marquez, starting just behind, wasted no time in attacking. Within a handful of corners, the Spaniard muscled his way past Bagnaia for second place. What should have been an exhilarating inter-team battle turned into a brief and one-sided exchange. Bagnaia had no answer for Marquez's aggression, and within seconds, his dream of fighting for victory was gone. Once Marquez had taken the spot, Bagnaia seemed to deflate. Instead of regrouping and mounting a counterattack, he struggled to find rhythm. Lap after lap, he appeared cautious, almost tentative, as though he no longer trusted his setup or his own instincts. Meanwhile, the field behind him began to close in. By lap 18, the pressure became unbearable. Rookie sensation Pedro Acosta, riding with the fearlessness of youth, blasted past Bagnaia without hesitation. For fans watching, it was shocking. A reigning three-time world champion losing out to a rookie so decisively. But the humiliation did not stop there. Fermin Aldeguer, another young talent brimming with confidence, soon followed Acosta's lead. Bagnaia tried to hold his line, but his pace was too weak to resist. Aldeguer swept through, leaving Bagnaia dropping further back. It was a sequence that reflected not only technical struggles, but also a loss of authority on track. The slide continued. Former teammate Enea Bastianini, now with a point to prove, attacked Bagnaia with conviction. For Bastianini, overtaking Bagnaia was more than just about gaining a position. It was symbolic. a reminder of the rivalry that once split Ducati's garage. Bagnaia offered little resistance, and the pass was completed easily. Joan Mir, a rider who has battled inconsistency since joining Honda, added to Bagnaia's misery. Mir, often criticized for fading in races, looked revitalized in Austria, and even he was able to get the better of Bagnaia. For a rider of Bagnaia's caliber, being overtaken by so many rivals in quick succession was alarming. The final blow came from Brad Binder of KTM. Known for his late race charges, Binder pounced on Bagnaia in the closing laps, sealing his fate outside the top 7. By the time the checkered flag waved, Bagnaia crossed the line in a disappointing 8th place. For Ducati, it was not just a bad result, it was a public embarrassment. A reigning champion, riding the factory bike, finishing behind 5 different rivals in the closing laps was unacceptable. Gigi Dall'Igna, watching from the pit wall, could not hide his frustration. Speaking to Sky Sport Italia after the race, Dall'Igna was brutally honest. "Today was clearly disappointing," he admitted. "Every race that slips away is a missed opportunity for progress." Bagnaia had a good weekend in practice, but when it mattered, everything collapsed. His tone was sharp, his words unfiltered. The bluntness stunned many in the paddock. Dall'Igna is known as a measured, analytical leader who usually avoids direct public criticism. To hear him describe Bagnaia's race as a failure made it clear Ducati's patience was wearing thin. Bagnaia, however, did not accept the criticism quietly. Speaking to DAZN, he expressed his own frustration. "Quite a lot, yes," he said when asked if he was losing patience with Ducati. "I am starting to lose faith, but I am still waiting for explanations." His words suggested not only disappointment, but a brewing rift within the team. Dall'Igna responded to those comments later, trying to soften the narrative. "It is normal for a rider to expect better results," he said. "When they don't get them, they feel frustrated. Unfortunately, that is the situation." His statement acknowledged Bagnaia's emotions, but stopped short of shielding him from responsibility. The episode highlighted a growing tension within Ducati Lenovo. On one side stands Bagnaia, the triple world champion who believes technical problems are undermining him. On the other stands management, who see Marquez thriving on the same machinery and wonder if Bagnaia has lost his edge. The contrast is impossible to ignore. While Bagnaia floundered in Austria, Marquez was dominant. The Spaniard not only won the sprint, but also mounted a strong fight in the main race, showcasing consistency and hunger. His ability to extract performance from the GP25 made Bagnaia's struggles look even more glaring. For Ducati, this imbalance creates a dangerous dilemma. 2 superstar riders sharing one garage has historically led to chaos. Just look at Rossi and Lorenzo, or Marquez and Pedrosa. When one rider shines while the other suffers, tension inevitably grows. Dall'Igna publicly insists Ducati must stay united. "We must work together to achieve our goals," he said. "This has been our philosophy since the start of the year, and it must continue. We cannot give up." It was a diplomatic stance, but many observers believe unity will be hard to maintain if results remain so lopsided. Bagnaia now faces an uphill battle not only on track, but also within the psychological war of Ducati. His lucrative contract and status as Italy's hero amplify the pressure. Fans who once adored him now question whether he can withstand the Marquez storm. If the trend continues, Bagnaia risks losing more than points. He risks losing his role as Ducati's undisputed leader. With Marquez's charisma and results, the balance of power could shift rapidly, leaving Bagnaia in the shadows. The Austrian Grand Prix may ultimately be remembered as more than just one disappointing race. It could mark the beginning of a deeper fracture, a moment when Bagnaia's aura of invincibility began to fade, and Marquez's star within Ducati began to shine brighter than ever. As the championship rolls on, the story of Bagnaia versus Marquez is only intensifying. Fans are divided. Some defend Bagnaia, citing technical failures, while others accuse him of lacking mental toughness. What's undeniable is that Austria 2025 left scars, And the question now is whether Bagnaia can rise again as a champion, or whether he will be remembered as the rider who fell into the shadow of Marc Marquez's Ducati resurgence. Like, subscribe and comment.